Yeah, hello. This is Leo Brady with AMovieGuy.com. I am here with Pilou Asbæk. Thanks for being with me here today.
No, for sure, man.
This is
fantastic. Where are you seated? Where's that? Is that in your office?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Oh, I'm in Boston.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason why I'm in prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't quote me on that one, bro.
I won't. Well, we're here to talk about Run, Sweetheart, Run. Congratulations on this film.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, you're having quite a 2022 with Samaritan, Uncharted, and now this. Can you put your finger on
23? I got Salem's Lot and I got Aquaman.
Man, and can you sort of put your finger on the reason why you're having such a great sort of like rising in your career?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky. I think a combination of luck and skill and coincidence, and of course Game of Thrones and also a lot of the Danish work that I've done. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
fuck, just the way you said it, and I kept like, yeah, in 23, I got this shit.
Right.
Like, don't forget. But when mentioning it, I'm like, I haven't even thought about it. I just think maybe it's because I love it.
Yeah,
everyone loves it. Or
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's the part of it that, obviously has to stick in order for you to keep doing it. But what's interesting about your career so far is, and I'm sure everybody asks you about this, you've played a lot of bad guys.
Always.
They
don't always ask me, but I always play bad guys.
Yeah.
In America.
Well, and what do you think this is a reason, what's drawing you, but also sort of when you kind of get a lot of those roles, do you sort of take on each one a little bit different than the next? Because that I hear a lot about how you can't play a bad guy like he's a bad guy, right?
Yeah, but and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's like a 5-second answer.
Yeah.
The thing is this, you got to tap into something within yourself. First of all, I always think a bad guy, even though how bad the person is, or how crazy the person is, or even how surreal the universe is, it's got to be rooted in reality. It's got to be a person you would be able to meet in reality, unless you're playing an alien or something.
Right.
So for me, every single bad guy person I've done, I have tried to be inspired by the circumstances that I am in. Greyjoy, crazy fucking pirate, lunatic. This Samaritan, 80s villain, Kiefer Sutherland, Lost Boys, an homage to my youth and my childhood heroes. Ethan is different. Run, Sweetheart, Run is different because this is the first time I actually got to play a good guy for the first 15 minutes, and then it switches.
Yeah.
And we're breaking the fourth wall. So Ethan is probably the first 100% my creation within a collaboration with the writer, director, and my co-star, Ella.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why he's probably the villain I've done who's the closest to me.
Yeah.
Not me personally, but how I would see a villain and how I want to do a villain.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of humor. He's got a lot of funny bone.
For sure. Well, and talk about even like working with Ella, like what is the process with that? Do you keep your distance from her as much as possible because you know that sort of this is a character where when you first get together, you're going to have to sort of charm her at first and then change yourself into something different? Or do you, sort of sit down with her and talk and say, all right, this is how I'm going to do it? Or do you want it to just be the total element of surprise?
I like element of surprise.
Yeah.
I like the element of surprise as long as we have a safety net, as long as we have a very good collaboration. You cannot do the element of surprise if you have no faith in each other.
Right.
So first of all, you have a lot of meetings, you talk a lot about the script, you talk a lot about the story, and then you take all that and you have a process in your own little lab at home creating a character, and
Yeah.
you her character and my character, and they merge. But that's the director's job to make those two people within the same, make those two people real within the same world. And that can actually be more difficult than expected. And that's when it's all about chemistry and faith and trust between each other.
Yeah.
I felt 100% safe with Ella. Her performance is, I think it's incredible. It's a very physically demanding performance to play fear for, I don't know, a month and a half.
Yeah.
Play all nights. That's difficult. And then I come in as a tourist and I do my little bits and pieces here and there. But it's a collaboration. It is. And if people tell you differently, they forget that, no, but then you're working with the writer, and then you're working with the costume designer, and then you're working with sound. So it is a team effort.
Yeah.
But you, of course, I bring my craziness. But for me, the reason why I really wanted to do this role, Ethan, it was because I really needed to show LA and Hollywood that I can be a good guy for 15 minutes before I become a bad person. That was the main goal with it.
You achieved that. I mean, well, and like you talked a little bit about your influences too. I mean, you know, you've kind of worked with a lot early on already. Like I think of Tobias Lindholm. He's such a great director and writer already. Like
he just had world premiere last night on The Good Nurse.
Yeah, I mean, like he's literally like just booming, and you kind of got established with him. But do you have any actors in sort of your repertoire that you're like, yeah, I want to study them and I want to be like them, or is it just sort of your own thing?
I know I get inspired, but not by colleagues, but by paintings. My inspiration is in art, museums, sculptures. Those are the things that I enjoy. I have a book at home called 1000 Photos from the past 100 years. And each and every single character I find five photos. That's the reason why I'm an actor. I can't act.
You're a magician.
Yeah.
You're a magician.
5 photos.
Yeah.
And each photo represent a side of the character, and I use that in the process of creating different sides. But of course, the goal is, I love all these villains. I love all these roles. But of course, the goal is to do something. The collaboration I have with Tobias is to do that in American cinema. Those are the movies and TV shows I want to do, because it's incredible doing villains. But you also have to see how far can I go, and I will always be a Dane.
Yeah.
Danish.
Yeah.
Always an accent. It'll get less and less with the years to come, hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But it will always be there. And right now I'm doing a Russian writer on AMC, an AMC show, like the male lead.
Yeah.
And he's not a villain. And it just makes me so happy, because it's like I got 7 years of villainous in me.
Yeah.
And now I can just be happy Russian writer.
And then you talked about your collaboration with Tobias. Like, talk about working with Shauna Festi. Like, she's obviously, I mean, for me personally, watching this is like one of her third films that I've seen. I was absolutely shocked that it was her voice here and her movie, because it's so different from what I've seen from her past work.
Yeah.
Was there a little bit of a sort of process of like, all right, this might be sort of a first time for her working on a movie of this kind of genre?
I don't know. Of course, when you're being a director, you're very aware of what genre you're making.
Yeah.
But for her, this is like, I don't know if you're going to talk to her.
Yeah.
I remember it. It's so far ago. It's so long ago. I kind of remember it being actually, I'm sorry to say, a very personal experience or story that she wanted to tell. And I don't know, we never talked about if she's been on a bad date in LA, but I think she has felt as a woman how imposing and dominant men can be.
Yeah.
And we don't, Leo, we don't feel that. You're a bloke, I'm a guy. We go out, we go, but as a woman, like you always, if you go into a room with men, you're the weakest person there, physically the weakest. I'm not talking about brain or smarts, but
Right.
physically, you're the
Yeah.
weakest person.
Yeah.
And that must be very difficult to comprehend always, and to always be confronted with it.
Yeah.
And I have a 9-year-old daughter, and who at her school, we're telling the boys to be boys and the girls to be girls, but we're also telling the boys that they have to be aware that when they hit the teens, they're going to develop more muscles, they're
Yeah.
going to be stronger, and therefore they have to be aware of what they're physically capable of doing.
Yeah.
Not only to girls, but also to each other.
Right.
You know, when I was
Right.
a kid, no one told me when I kicked the football, I would kick it all I could.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
it's I'm not desexualizing society. I'm just, you know, we're a different generation and we see things differently. And
And
that might not always be a bad thing.
right. Exactly. When I think like this movie sort of teaches us a lot of just about that sort of process of evolution of where we need to go. Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's also entertaining, and it's also horror, and it's also all these elements. And we're tapping into a genre.
Yeah.
Because right now with Halloween, what is the most famous genre within horror? It's slasher. It's
Right.
male predator women.
Right.
And we're tapping into it. But we're also turning the conventions upside down because it's much more realistic. This is not a guy hiding behind a mask.
Right.
This is a guy you can meet on Tinder.
Right.
This is a guy you can meet grocery shopping. It's you know?
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. All right. Pilou Asbæk, thank you so much, man. My time's up.
Thanks,
I
bro.
had a great time talking with you.
You too, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congrats.